We will wait for 2 to 3 minutes.
Around 20, only then we'll start. Okay.
Prashant sir, please begin.
Yeah. Students are joining.
Yeah. Just hi guys. Hi Apurva, Bhavin, Darshak, Gaurav, and Kushan. So I currently have 5 attendees right now. So guys, we'll just wait it out for I think 5 more minutes, and we'll see how many more people join. At least 10, 15 people join. It's gonna be a great session. So we'll just quickly wait for it.
Darshak, Bhavin, and Krushang, you can ask your friends to join also. I have already dropped a message in my group. They are my students.
Great. Q&A or something. Guys, and by the time other people join, you can just fill in the Q&A option by how was the last session, what were the key takeaways from those, and have you heard of this thing called domain-driven development before, or have you heard of software architecture before? So we'll get a fair amount of idea as to what we are dealing with, right? Anybody? Gaurav, Darshak? Just fill in the Q&A. No, sir. Okay. Prashant sir, in your campus, in your Android classes, what architecture do you use? MBP, MBVM?
Like the simulator or what?
The normal code architecture. And how do
We
you?
use the basic one, the Android Studio. Like, I don't know which architecture, but we just follow this activity, then creating these activities and the XML files. We design into XML files.
Okay.
And now we are switching to this Figma and the Adobe. Like you design into that the UI UX part, and then you can convert it into the XML, and then we can pass on to the developers.
And that is a great blessing actually, because XML is a little bit difficult, right?
Yes.
So
You get the entire conversion from Figma and the Adobe XD into the XML.
yes. So I guess we can just start actually with the introduction. So 10 people joined.
Sure.
So hi guys, welcome back to this second session. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you back all over on this call again. So this call, as aforementioned in the last Flutter introduction call, this is going to be a little bit high level. We are going to make a simple app. I'm going to make a small to-do app actually, which is a basic intro to any app development, but using a wide array of helping projects and helping code resources. Okay. So let me just share my screen so that we can all see what I'm talking about, right? So my presentation is visible, right, Prashant sir, to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So domain-driven development. So this is something that some software engineer, a computer scientist named Eric Evans, coined this term in 2003. So this concept is basically a kind of architecture which you use to make software applications more reliable, testable, and scalable. So when you make a big project, like something like which users use on a daily basis, you have like Google Pay or some other app like Slice or the Facebook app itself. There are a lot of moving parts in the app, right? Imagine it's like a car. So it's on the factory and there's this engine. The engine doesn't care about the tires actually. The tires are dependent on the engine. The speed is dependent on the engine, and every other major part of the car is actually dependent on the engine. So when we say domain driven development, the domain is the engine. So everything that's moving, that's working, that the user can see, interact with, use, is all pointing to the domain. Now, what is the domain? So domain is a very high level term for objects. Okay, very high level term. So objects means, like, if you have done object oriented programming, you must have heard of classes and objects. So domain is a high level term for objects. So there are 2, 3, 5, 6, n number of objects which do not know anything about the application, but the entire application knows about those objects and use them, right? So this is what you're going to move forward with. And purpose of DDD, as a little bit of context I gave already, The purpose of DDD is to just make software development simple, because you might be making your college project like water reminder apps as your internship project in the fourth year, or some news app. So these are small apps. They don't need any kind of architecture. But just imagine in a company like Google, where 100 engineers work on the same project, there has to be some kind of standard of coding, right? So that when I write code, Gaurav, who has joined the call, he will be able to understand what I want to say. If Prashant sir writes some code and he tells me, Rishi, just have a look, then I can read it and understand, okay, this is what it means. Now, if there's no architecture, if Prashant sir is using something, I am using something, the students are using something, then it's a little bit of chaotic. We do not understand. So this is the purpose of architecture. And DDD is sort of an architecture, and DDD follows this few concepts called separation of concerns, and then singleton classes. So these are optimization approaches while making software. When DDD was made, like this architecture is in use since 1990s. Like many big code bases, like some, actually not joking, but like IBM and NASA and all people follow some kind of architecture in their code bases, right? So they can't afford to use a lot of memory. So in those days, 1990s, the memory of any kind of good computer was what, 400 kilobytes, 500 kilobytes. Even the rocket that went to the moon, I think, which Neil Armstrong was in 1969. That time it was like 400 kilobytes of memory, and they did that. They went, orbited, came back to Earth. So they had to be very concise while writing the code, as it not to have memory overflows and errors and something like that. So they came up with architectures. Now we have super fast computers, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to write some code that uses all the power in the machine and then hang the system. No, our job is to make it as optimal as possible, right? So DDD enables us to do that. If there's a function, you just create one instance of it in the memory, so that you don't call it again and again and again and again. It's like in a restaurant, right? You go, you want I don't know if you there are restaurants obviously. So if you want some pizza, right, and the waiter comes, asks you, what will you take, sir or ma'am? And then you say, I'll take a margarita pizza. And then you say, anything else? You said a Coke, and anything else? A cake. So 3 things. You tell at once, he goes, he gives you the order. End of story. Now imagine a different scenario. 5 people are there. Everybody is ordering different. The waiter comes once, you tell something, then you again call him and say, cancel that order, give again. So it's a very hectic and unoptimized approach. The restaurant slows down, people are having their orders delayed, wrong orders, absolute chaos. So we can't afford to have that in software. Imagine that I want a resource, the RAM, and some other resource wants the RAM, and then it's a chaos. Nobody knows what to ask. Nobody knows which function to call. They're calling it multiple times. It's already being used somewhere. So DDD contracts all of these and says, you know what? You can just call me once, and then that's it. I'll be available till the app lifecycle. Till the app is not killed, I will be there in the memory. Now, that's something we'll actually see in the code. So this is a small thing that I want to tell you guys. This DDD's evil twin called DDD, like bug-driven development. So in one of my first companies, what we used to do was, it was a startup. So we did not usually write code that's very efficient. We write code, it works. Now we give it to the testing team. So there are QA engineers whose daily task is to see if the app is working or not. They would test the app. They would come back to me and say, Rishi, this feature is not working. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So I'll fix it. Then I give them the app again, and then they'll again find 2 more bugs. They'll come to me and then, Rishi, this is also not working. I will fix again. So this is bug-driven development. I make something, and then they come and repeatedly tell me, Rishi, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and this is bug-driven development. This is very bad. And bug-driven development is worse when the app is out in the market, and in the Google Play Store, people come and tell you, developer, this is not working. So you have to again go and fix it. It's a whole array of embarrassment. Different story. So we are not going to do bug-driven development. One thing that you guys might have heard of is test-driven development. Test-driven development is we write the test cases first. We write the test cases first, and we see if our project is moving in the right direction or not. Test-driven development is as equally important as a concept, but currently out of scope of this presentation, so you're going to skip that, right? So a large number of applications use some sort of architecture pattern. So if it's an industry project, if it is an industry project, it is following an architecture. It cannot have a null void architecture, like, you know, random stuff is happening all across the app. Somebody is speaking in English, somebody is in French, and everything is, again, full out office war is going on. So we don't have any application that do not follow any kind of architecture, right? So how to start? Well, I'm here to help you guys start with this. This is some concept that you usually learn when you go into the industry. Actually, when you first join your internship or any full-time job, this is the time this DDD architecture is taught to you guys. But funny story, I'll just quickly share it with you. When I was in college, I used to make apps that were so bad that I cringe when I actually look back at the code. But there were a few people, my friends, they did this GSOC, Google Summer of Code, and they learned it in GSOC actually, how to, oh, we can do this factory classes, this singleton classes, this injectable concepts, right? So they used to do all these kind of, and they learned it and they taught me actually a little fair amount. So after I graduated, I was able to, you know, pick it up in my first internship and job and everything. So today I'm going to teach you all exactly this, because if you go to some company and you have this bare minimum concepts of DDD, is going to help you write a code a little bit faster and catch up, right? So live coding, threw a meme again in this so that, you know, maybe get a few laughs out of it. So we'll just quickly go, and then one small concept example actually. I mentioned this word called injectable, right? So does anybody know what injectable is? I'll just quickly see if is there any Q&A or if any sort. If you have heard of injectable injections in software development, just quickly write it up in the Q&A. It's a great thing. So I'll give you a live, like an analogy at first, like what is an injectable, right? So you imagine this person named Raju, he has diabetes. Okay, so we give him the insulin injection every day, right? So what we do is we pack of injections at pack of those what is that, this bottles, insulin bottles at once, and then we come and then we register the injection, we give him the insulin medicine. But just imagine if it was not an injection, what we would do. We would go and again to the medical factory and then again collect some medicine, come back, fill it in a bottle, give it to him. No, right? We have pre-bottled stuff and then we have this injection. So we just directly use the resource and use it in the person. We don't go again and again to the insulin manufacturer and then, you know, go through the process by ourselves. It's packaged, a small packet that you can use as long as possible. Once it's empty, then you go and buy it. So it's an efficient process. So likewise in code, when we have a small class, a small function, we don't want to create different instances of it all the time. Like once again you create, you don't do. RAM will heat up, the computer will crash, it will hang. We can't afford that. And Android phones and iOS phones already have a little bit less RAM than your computer does. So we can't afford to have memory overflows. So what we are going to do is we are going to take a class, instantiate it. Instantiate means make an object of the class and then inject it in other classes who need it. For example, class animal and class food both need, class animal needs class food, and we can't always create the kitchen, right? So what we are going to do is we have another class kitchen, which we inject in the food. So the food requires the kitchen. I know it sounds a little bit scary and a little bit, you know, difficult to understand, but we'll see it in the code actually real quick. So it's like creating one object of a class and then injecting it in the other class, right? Is there any question? I would love to hear some questions actually, because it's kind of a little bit difficult concept, right? So anybody who has a question, please just, you know, jump into the Q&A box or stop me to tell Prashant sir that we don't get what this guy is saying. Okay, I'll quickly stop. Okay. So, oops, object-oriented programming. So many of you guys have heard that there are two kinds of programming. One is functional, one is object-oriented programming. So this architecture is mainly based on object-oriented classes and objects, inheritance, abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism. All these 4 terms you have learned in your campus. That's what we are going to use, right? So let's just jump into the coding actually really quickly. So I just hope you all can see my Android Studio, my favorite tool of the mind, right? Prashant sir, my Android Studio is visible to all of you?
Yes, completely visible.
Perfect. So what we're going to do is, this is the actual Paru lab that I made in the last last session. So we have this, I just quickly run the app. So I just set it up and I can show you what it was the last time, those who did not attend the last call, right? So we have the home page, right? And it was a basic counter app. So as I press the plus button, the value on the screen changes, right? A fascinating and groundbreaking app. Oh, count decreases. Sorry, I was doing count minus, I think in the end. So I just changed that. In Flutter, we have the material app on top, and then I made this new class called to-do list page. So before I dive into the DDD, we'll just quickly sketch up a little bit of an UI to tell you, what we are talking about. So we'll go to to-do list and we'll create this list over here. So this list is called tasks. Okay. So first task is, eat breakfast, take care, say good morning. Oh yeah, you can't tell good morning to parents before this. So eat breakfast, go to school, take care. And then the third task is be a good student, and then attend the Flutter workshop, which is very important, right? So we are going to have this, and then inside this scaffold, I'm just going to quickly make a list. Okay? So in Flutter, we have a list view, which can take constant elements, but over here, it's not constant. If I want to add some kind of, this like dynamic amount of lists, so we can have that as well. So we are going to return a list style over here. And then list style takes, I think, a body title actually. And then we are going to have this, and string interpolation will use tasks index. So this is a string, and is also has a parameter called item count. So this is actually Flutter concepts. I'll share the resources to learn this, but I just want to quickly show you guys what's the domain driven development part of this. Okay. So let's see if this works. Yeah, so we have this over here, right? So we have a list of elements, and this looks so ugly that I want to, hurt myself. So title and then text, to-do list for today, right? So we have the to-do list for today. So we have eat breakfast, we have go to school, be a good student, attend the Flutter workshop. And then let me see if I can just quickly, because this doesn't seem very, very attractive. It has to be, yeah, okay. So we'll just have this, okay? Now, when I tap on this, I will go to a different page, which I have already here, called to-do detail page, where it will show the name and maybe a small description to it. So this class accepts a function, accepts a parameter like string. We have like in the good way, we have final string title, and then in Dart, since it's a nullable language, we have required this dot title. Okay, we have this, and then over here we'll just simply say title. Okay, title, and then over here we have to have an on tap option. I think we have an on tap option. So what we'll do with this is we'll navigate to that page. So in Flutter, again, these resources will be shared because a little bit of Flutter background is required to understand the UI, how it works. So this is a very basic approach, which we don't use in our company actually. Material page route, take care, material page route, and then we'll just do to which page we are in, to detail page. Okay, we'll just navigate to that page, and I think it should work. Yeah, to-do title page has a red line. Why is it? Oh, title is required, right? So title is what? Tasks and then index. Okay. So tasks is a list. So index means 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I tap on eat breakfast, it will pass eat breakfast. If I tap on go to school, it will tap on go to school. So let's quickly put that to the test. So if I click on go to school, it should say go to school, right? Press the back button. I be a good student, be a good student. If I press on this Zoom thing is coming in between, eat breakfast, it goes to eat breakfast. Very simple, very easy, right? Now let's do something like maintain this list in a global fashion so that we can actually delete it, right? So in the list, we will add this option called trailing. I think, yeah, trailing. And then we'll have this icon button. Icon, we just have an icon actually for now. Icons dot delete. Okay. So you can see we have a nice gray delete icon. So if when we delete it, it should disappear of this. Now we'll attack this with the domain driven approach. Before I move into the domain driven approach, I want to quickly share one more thing. Domain driven is a big architecture. You use it for massive projects. If you have a small project like a to-do app, you usually use local state management system. You don't use an architecture, right? It's basically like taking one big army, like 100 people to fight one dog on the street. You don't usually do that. You can just fight it yourself. But when do you need an army? When you actually are going to fight another army of 100 men. So that's what the concept is. You don't use domain driven in this kind of projects, but this is just a quick example so that we can cover it in time. Okay, so this is the to-do list. Now what we are going to do is I want to show the domain. Okay, so everything that pertains to the domain driven has an entity. This is the source, single source of all truth. It knows how to represent data. It defines what I can do with the data, right? So I'm going to quickly implement this class called to-do entity, and it has a title. That's it, right? And it can't be, well, let's make it nullable so that it's, some people don't want, yeah. So this dot title. Okay, that's it. That's it. This class knows what title is. Okay, nothing else, nothing more. Then we have this to-do repository. Okay, so usually this is an example of abstract classes. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard of what abstract classes are. So abstract classes are classes which do not have a proper definition inside them. We have function declarations over there, what a class can do, but it doesn't specify how it does it. It doesn't care how you do it. It just tells you, we are going to do it this way. So we are going to do it. We are going to call it the implementation of to-do repository. Now, why repository? In technical terms, repository is something which hacks into the data of a database or a certain API call. Okay? And either does an API call from a server or it does from a local database. Now, this repository has a small function called, we'll just say a list of to-do entities it will return. Okay? And it will return type is list to-do entity, and then it will just say get to-dos. Okay? It doesn't care if you are asking for the list from the to-do entity or you're asking from the server APIs. But I think I'm going a little fast. Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Prashant sir, do they have access to ask the questions on the Zoom call?
Yes, yes. They
No, I
can
just,
put the question in Q&A section. But right
yeah,
now there
yeah,
is no questions.
they can hear me, right? I hope.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, they are audible to you.
I are people scared of this topic? Are they underprepared? So just be brutally honest to me, and I'll go a little slower, and then we will have a little bit more thing to chat about, and I would love to talk. So guys, just we have 5 minutes. I'm going to stop this talk for 5 minutes. I just want all of you to ask a little bit questions in the Q&A, so that, okay, 1 second. Save from battery loss. So anybody, Gaurav? Let me see who are in the call. I'll ask them out like a bad teacher. Hey, I want you to ask a question. So, who are the participants? Let's see. Darshak. Hey, Darshak, you are having any doubts with this domain-driven concept?
You can say at least yes or no in the Q&A.
Yes. Apurva ma'am, you have any doubts? Abhishek, Goody, Jayashree, Jignasha, Kunal, anybody? Kushan?
Yeah,
Apurva,
one Q&A.
no, not so far. No, sir, till now. Okay. Uday, Yash, Sumitra, Shubham, Shrey. There are a lot of exciting prizes for you guys, by the way, if you guys are interactive. Okay. We have goodies and for you guys lined up. So I would love to see you guys ask questions. Okay. Nobody seems to have any doubt. So let's get into the advanced topics. We'll learn how to make Google Pay today. Okay. So, okay. Now it's not a biggie. Let's just quickly close this. So IMP to-do repository is something which says, I do not know how you are going to get the to-do list. Either you get from a local database or a server. I don't care. I just know that this is what I want you guys to do with the to-dos. Now you implement it your own way. A nice example would be if you have seen many apps have that login using Google, login using Facebook, login using Instagram, I think, right? So those apps, those login system has an abstract implementation called login. It says you have to implement the login. Now I don't care how you do it. So Facebook extends that login function. We extend that login function. We implement the Facebook auth. We extend that sign in by Google and then we do that. So we are doing something like class to do repository extends IMP to do repository, something like this. Okay, now we don't care how we implement it, right? So this is what I'm moving forward with. I'll just quickly have this is our Wiser code base, by the way. So if you guys come intern with us, we'll actually would love to share it with you guys. So it is some example like auth repo, right? We have an authentication system. Now we have multiple modules. So everybody's something is different. So somewhere we take email and password, somewhere we take just mobile and OTP. So it doesn't care how you do it. It just says you have to implement the login system. How you do it, it's on you, right? So I think there are QA questions. Oh, okay, got it. So we'll go back over here and then let's go to the infrastructure. So I am telling you this name called domain application infrastructure injection and presentation. So these are a little bit broad terms. When I first came, I was very afraid of what these mean. So application ke pehle we'll understand what's domain. We understood what is domain, object holders, and how to implement them. Domain, infrastructure. Infrastructure is the folder which implements the domain. It tells how to log in, it tells how to get the to-dos, and application is the one that contacts between the UI and the abstract infrastructure. It is the communicator. It says, I'll go and talk to the UI says something, goes and talks to the backend tells something, comes and goes back to the presentation. Presentation is the UI. It doesn't know anything. It has no data, nothing, no knowledge of anything. It just knows, yeah, I am there when the start button is pressed. That's it. Take it. And then everything is controlled by the other people, application specifically. Now see, every person is pointing to the domain, right? So we'll go to infrastructure. We'll quickly jot down the to-do repository. To-do repository extends IMP to-do repository. Now, there's a .NET concept. If you have guys heard of it, it says that we are implementing, but we use the IMP thing actually. So we are going to do is lazy singleton. I'll just quickly have a look at the syntax. I think it's @ lazy singleton. Yes. So @lazy singleton and then as IMP to the repository. Okay. This is a way of saying that we are going to create a singleton instance. So to-do repository, along the entire life cycle of the entire app is going to have one instance and one instance only, right? We are not going to make again and again, again and again, because that's gonna, make the app overflow. Okay. Okay. So now let's say the red squiggly line. Why? Can anybody please tell me? So I'll not hover over it. Why do you think when I extend a abstract class, the class that is extending this one is throwing an error? Why? Does anybody know? Okay, so Prashant Satya has some questions from Facebook. Is DDD same as microservices? I won't say no. DDD is not a microservices. Microservice is a separate kind of architecture we use, and DDD is a different kind of architecture. Microservice usually pertains to backend systems, where some system is trying to calculate the number of friends you have. Somebody is trying to calculate the number of groups you are in. Somebody holds the messenger bot, like a Facebook microservice architecture. So, and they are interacting together. Okay, these are separate code bases. But in DDD, what we are happening is one single application has a code base architecture, not software architecture. It's a very different thing, right? When should I use DDD? You should use DDD, I think, most of the times if you are making a big project. If you are making an e-commerce website, use DDD. If you are making a social media platform, use DDD, right? But if you're making a to-do app just like me, I don't really recommend using that. Okay. But in the Q&A section, Kushang, I really want you to answer why this red line is there. Can you tell me? Achha, what is the difference between DDD and MVC? So when I first started DDD, it looked extremely similar to MVC, right? MVC is model view controller. So model is the domain, something like that. View is the UI presentation, and controller is basically the application layer that we are talking about. In MVC, what happens is I had this Meghan Mehta. She's a software engineer at Google. So I met her in this conference, and she was giving a talk on the same MVC by Kotlin. So it looks strikingly similar to DDD actually. It has same separation of concerns, right? But what MVP lacked was, in certain instances, you were interacting the entire presentation model with the domain, the models. They were intertwined. So there was no proper separation of concerns when we were using MVC at Google itself, right? So currently domain driven says ki we won't touch domain, or the domain won't touch anything else. It doesn't depend on any other layer of the code base. But in MVC, there are certain instances, like we have Ruby on Rails, right? Now Ruby on Rails is a proper MVC concept. Okay, so I think there's in DDD there's complete separation of concerns. Complete, matlab it's the death by penalty of death if you actually make the domains interact with other kind of layers in the project. Okay, that's a very good question, by the way, Darshak. But I wanted to really ask Kushang, or maybe Darshak as well, maybe Apurva ma'am. Yeah, why do we think this red line is coming, this abstract class? Any idea why? Why is Android Studio telling me ki, there's an error? I just quickly wait for 10-15 seconds. Anybody? Why does an abstract class implementation throw red line?
We don't have that class, I guess.
Okay, good. Actually, we don't have the functions. Okay, so as we saw in IMP to do, we have this function called get to dos, and we don't have the implementation. So this abstract class is telling me, Rishi, implement it. Where is the implementation? So it's very easy actually. We are just gonna create one missing override. So we are going to override this get to dos function. Okay. Now, how is gonna work? This list that I created in, I think, in to-do list, I'm going to copy this very simply. And now, instead of putting this data inside the UI, I'm going to put this data inside the repository. This repository is going to do a very simple thing. This tasks no more would be a list of strings. It would be a list of to-do entities. Okay? And these all will be like this. A to-do entity, to-do entity, and to-do entity. Now I'll quickly actually show you a great feature of Android Studio. Control command, option command and shift if you're on Mac. Control alt shift if you are on Windows or Linux. Okay. So this lets me, edit multiple lines at once. So we are going to have this. Again, I can just use this simple command, but okay, we just have a few lines. So this is, okay, to do entity, I become toad entity. So sorry about that. So to do entity, right? We have a list of to do entities. And now this function just simply currently, because it's a small example, we are going to return the tasks taken over here. So what does a list of to do entity get to do's function do? It returns a list of to do entities, which is in the list called tasks. Okay. Now this is in the repository. It doesn't have reached the UI yet. Currently, it might seem an overwhelming thing as to why we are doing so much of complexity, because this is a simple app, but in bigger project, it becomes much easier when multiple moving parts have to interact with each other, right? So now we go to the application folder where we have a to-do provider. As in the last session, I told you, provider is a kind of, a state management tool. So it extends this class called change notifier. So what is a notification? Notification is a kind of a message, right? Which you get on your phones, any kind. But in the software domain, a notification means a trigger, event alert. Like if something changes, it's going to go and tell the other person, hey, you know what, this data changed. So for example, a very good example of notifications would be the messages, right? So when somebody is typing, you get on the top, right? Darshak is typing, and then file comes. Darshan is recording audio. Darshan is sending a file. So there are three states. Darshan is doing nothing. Darshan is doing something, and whatever Darshan was doing, it's done. So the UI changes, right? So this is what a notification means. And Flutter has this notification system, which we have, where any data changes anywhere, API, database, provider, any data source, the UI changes instantaneously. Okay? So what we are going to do is, we are going to make this injectable. Why injectable? Because it's going to have the class to do repository inside this. Take it, to do repository, this dot. So we are going to actually have final the object actually. So final IMP to do repository. Why is it not repository repo? Okay, let's see if I can import this. Yeah, I can import this. Perfect. And now this dot repo. This is basically a basic constructor which gets injected with another class's instance. Since this class has the lazy singleton done, so I'll run a quick command actually to get this up and running. Okay. And now we have again a list of to-do entity which will get the get to-dos and then return it. Okay, get to-dos. Okay, and then final. We can just do this actually. Return repo dot get to-dos. That's it. That's simple. The application calls the repository. The application calls the repository and returns it. Now we will use this. We will use this to-do provider everywhere. Okay, so we are going to run a small command actually. This command is a little bit big. So flutter pub run build runner. Okay, flutter pub run build runner. I think delete conflicting outputs. You'll learn all of this if you come to our company for an internship maybe. But I'm just going to copy the command from our README, right? So it's this pub run build runner build. Okay, I missed one small thing. So we're going to paste this command over here. Now what it's going to do is it's going to generate a file. I'll show you that file. This is why I love Flutter. It doesn't let you write a lot of code. In your Android Java, Prashant sir, somebody started recording it. So Prashant sir is in Android, right? So you might have heard of this thing called butter knife, if you have heard of it. So butter knife is something which, is it called butter knife? I'm not sure. In Android, last time I did it was called butter knife. So it's a dependency injection system. Like it can get some class, inject it in somebody else, somebody, not somebody else, something else. So in this injection folder, we have this injection.dart, injection config. This is the one that it's created. So it created a lazy singleton of to-do. It's auto-generated. I didn't write this complex code. A lazy singleton and a factory class of to-do provider, which has this thing injected in it, right? That's that simple. Now let's give our material app. I think over here we'll have this multi-provider thing. Multi-provider, okay? Providers. In providers, we will just quickly provide providers which we have in this class. We have this providers list over here where we have defined the to-do provider, where we have the parameter lazy equals to false. Lazy false means until and unless it's required, I really won't create any class. Okay? So that's what we are moving forward with. The main dot dart mein jaake providers ke andar we have a child option where we'll give the to-do list page. Okay? So what this does is to-do list page has now access to the providers that's in the list. Okay? So that's the concept. So providers, a little bit tutorial you have to go through once to understand what this multi-provider is. So you have multiple providers. One is a to-do provider, one is a Q&A provider, okay, one is a login provider, auth provider, this provider. So multiple providers are accessible by all of the UI. Anybody can call an application and say, you know what, I want to log in, you know, I want to check how many friends I have, you know, I want to check the messages and all the stuff that's there. Take it. So this is the providers, to-do provider is there. What's missing is now the UI. The UI needs to show the list. What they're going to do is they're going to delete the tasks list over here. Now you see it throws me a bunch of error. It says, Rishi, I don't know what you're talking about. So what they're going to do is I'm just going to cut it for now. We are going to use this consumer widget. Okay? We are going to use this consumer widget, which is using to-do provider. Now consumer is what? Consumer is somebody who listens, who says, you know, my ears are open to hear for any changes. Now we have this builder method inside it. We'll just quickly import the consumer from the provider package. We have context, then we have a object name. So we can call to-do state, right? And then we have the child option, which we don't really require. Then we have the list, which we wanted to return over here, right? So the consumer has the access to the to-do provider class, right? And now from to-do provider, we can actually do to-do state dot get to-dos. Okay? Not get to-dos. We are going to do over here like, I think we have a list. Okay. Why is it throwing an error? Let me just quickly check. Oh, item count, is it? Okay, okay. Sorry. So what we're going to do is inside the builder function, we are going to get the to-dos. Final to-dos equal to to-do state dot get to-dos. Simple. Now in item count, we have to-dos dot length. Okay. And over here, we have to-dos index, the dot title, which is nullable actually. So we don't want to make it nullable. And this is the same to-dos index dot title. That's it. That's it. I think it should work. It will throw an error right now because we did the entire ran that command. We'll just quickly restart it. So let's see whether it works or not. Okay. So now see, it has this entire thing, which is controlled by the DDD concept. So we have the domain to-do entity, right? We have the to-do entity, which says how a to-do should look like. It has a repository, and then this repository is implemented by the infrastructure, the to-do repository, and then this to-do provider uses the repository to get the data. That's it. That's nothing more or nothing less, right? And then we have the to-do list, which calls the application layer. It says, I don't want to call the APIs. I do not know where the data is coming from. I'm just going to call the application, and the application returns the to-dos. Now there are multiple conditions, right? If I click on it, does it work? Yeah, it works perfectly, right? So that's that actually. There's many more functions. So if we wanted to create the list, this delete function, right? So we can actually do that. For that, what we have to do is we have to create a provider list. So Prashant sir, if we have some little bit time, I'll just quickly show that delete function also, because that's going to be a little bit crazy. Okay. So we are going to use a final to-do entity in the provider. We are not going to create it inside the UI. What we are going to do is create an empty list. And when we do get to-dos, what we are going to do is, if the data changes, we refresh it, we clear the current to-dos dot clear, and then we save it in the get to-dos over here. Repo dot get to-dos. Okay, and then we return the to-dos. Okay, we don't even need this actually. We can do notify listeners. Notify listeners, and then this is basically void because now what is notify listeners? Notify listener is something that will go and tell all the people, the data has been changed and now update your current UI. Okay, so in the to-do list page, now this is the tricky part, guys. We cannot have a normal stateless widget over here. We are going to have to make it a stateful widget, right? When the UI is building, we have this thing called init state, right? And then over here, we are going to call the to-do provider using the shorthand of providers dot get to-dos. It's going to go get the to-dos, right? And then if we'll put a condition over here. If to-do state dot to-dos is empty, then just say no tasks. Okay, this is state management, by the way. This is not in domain driven development. Okay, so this is it. Then to do, and then over here we are gonna do to do state dot to do's dot instead of storing it in a, or we can do that. Or well, let's not do that. It's a little bit complicated. We'll just, system is hanging, is it? Okay. To do's and then to do state dot to do's. Then I'm kind of laughing actually when I'm saying to do's all the time, right? So this stateless changed to a stateful widget. So we need to restart it. It takes hardly a second actually. To what's the issue? It says change notifier provider has some issue. What is the issue? I'll just quickly restart the application. I think couldn't take care of it. Any questions, guys? The time is running out, so we'd love to have some questions before. Prashant sir, how much time do we have?
10 more minutes.
10 more minutes, perfect. Stick to the end, guys. We also have the workshop certificates for this, and now since both the Flutter workshops are nearing their end of course, we would love to have you guys come for an interview and stuff, right? So what is the issue over here? Chain notifier provider. Well, it seems something that's wrong with the framework, it seems. Maybe this says that I need to file something. I'm really apologize for this mishap, right? So just going to quickly undo this actually, because this doesn't stand well. So sorry, Prashant sir, this framework error got into the picture, was not planned.
That happens with the developers, sir. That is totally
this really throws us across the board, you know, guys. So
error ना है और कोड रन हो जाए ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता सर.
वही है. तो वो सर लाइव करो तो बहुत ज्यादा ऐसा लगता है कि लाइव कोडिंग है और चलो भाई बेइज्जत. कोई नहीं, it happens. So sorry guys, I couldn't show you the delete function. I wanted to implement the to do with a state management approach, right? So sorry about that. Maybe next time if I do a proper state management class, if Prashant sir allows us once more on your campus. Apurva ma'am is also there, by the way. So I would love to actually do a proper demonstration of an app, right? So for now, this is the domain-driven development which we're talking about. Simple demonstration of to-dos, the repositories, the singleton classes, and interacting them with the presentation layer, right? So this is the to-do layer. Let me go to the presentation actually. Just quickly see what's left. We did the coding, the separation of concerns as discussed while coding. Nobody knows what's happening with the other people. There's a question, great question, I think. Sir, can you show how to make location-wise shop suggestions? Zomato, we can absolutely show it. So in one of the companies I used to work in, they were making this. You have heard of Zepto, right? Have you guys heard of Zepto? Sir, Prashant sir, in Gujarat, we have Zepto?
No, sir. I hadn't heard of it.
No, okay. Blinkit is there?
Blinkit is there in some cities, not in all the cities.
Okay. So I was working on a similar company, actually, it got acquired. So they were working on a similar thing where you can just open your app and then you can see all the nearby Kirana stores and they would get your food delivered actually. So it's not a basic Flutter approach, it's a backend system that does it. So the Flutter just sends the geolocation. So there's a package called geolocator, I think, in Flutter, which sends the current latitude, longitude to the server. And the server has entire database registry of all the latitude, longitude shops that are listed. Okay. So yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. We'll arrange for another workshop where we'll learn it. And it won't be covered in a one workshop actually. It would be a series of lectures most probably, right, Prashant sir? Matlab, full app demonstration, 1 hour,
Yes,
2 lessons.
yes.
So we'll arrange for something. We'll arrange for something. Or I'll share the resources with Prashant sir. He'll forward it to you guys, right? So is it a must everywhere? It's not a must everywhere as discussed. For small projects you don't use it, for bigger projects you do. Then key takeaways is you have to get involved in a certain software architecture pattern to get better placements. When you join other companies, they want to see developers who have a certain mindset of coding, not hack away. You write anything you want, might break in production, nobody knows, sending merge requests randomly. So this kind of a mindset that you have to build, commenting your code and having good structures, linting. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's something that's there. So, and the last presentation, the last slide, I think we are hiring, by the way. We are hiring for Flutter interns. We are hiring for full-time Flutter software engineers. So I'm going to put my email ID on the chat. Okay. Let me just quickly open the, stop sharing my screen, I think. Before that, chat is there. So I just quickly put my email ID. You guys can just mail your resume over here. Okay? And this is the last thing that we have. For the workshop certificates for this domain-driven development, just scan this, just download the app and sign up using this referral code, PIT code 2022. That's it. You do this. I have sent the workshop certificates to all the students who did the first class and second one. So the minimum criteria of sending your resume is you send this, and then I'll just quickly check if you guys have signed up. If you signed up, direct interview. If not, I'll make you do a project before you apply for the interview, right? So if you want to avoid that project part, just quickly scan it. Prashant sir, can you just guide the students about this a little bit?
Yeah. Sir, one more request. This email ID, if you can show on the screen, because this message will be to only host and panelist, not all the attendees.
Oh, is it so? Is it so? Okay, we don't have any problem. We'll just yeah.
You can display on the screen.
Yeah, I got it. We'll just quickly edit this itself. I'll just. Is it better now, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, so those attendees who are in the like final year, right? Abhishek, Uday, Satvik, golden chance for you.
Yeah, but actually, yeah, many smart students in Parul actually.
Yes.
So,
Darshak is working in Android. He has done many projects in Android.
great. Just mail me actually. Mail me your GitHub IDs. I would love to see your projects and then share with my team as well. They're looking for really enthusiastic students actually. And everything is definitely there. We just want there's a learning mentality in everybody, right? Quickly present it as well. Guys, also I have something to announce. We have designed a small refer and earn program. So I'm going to send a message to Prashant sir. He's going to send it to you. If you're falling short of pocket money, then maybe I can help you with that, right? I don't think you guys are, many students earn in college, but some students don't. So if you want to earn a little bit of $1,000, $2,000, maybe I'm a little bit more. So we have this refer and earn program as well. So if you refer us, there's a process, you do that. And then if your friends sign up using your referral code. So currently you are using this PIT code 2022. if you use your referral code and get your families and friends to onboard our application, then we'll directly send you money on your Paytm wallet, Google Pay, UPI ID, whatever. Okay. So that's there. So we'll send a message to Prashant sir. Okay. But currently for the workshop certificates, you need to use this referral code. If you use Rishi 2022, no certificate for you, sorry. But you need to use PIT code. So Apurva ma'am has access to the mic currently. Prashant?
No.
Okay.
But I can give her access if she wants to.
Yeah, let's give her access. Apurva ma'am has been a lot of help actually. I really wanted to say
Yes.
thank you to Apurva ma'am. So
I think she has left.
which is left. Okay.
Yes.
No problem. No problem.
Parallelly, many sessions are going on in that Tinkering Hub also, and she is also coordinating some sessions. That's why.
Okay. Okay. So but thank you, Prashant sir. Thank you, Tinkering Hub, for having me. Maybe we will do some more live coding sessions where we'll start from the more basics. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do
Physical workshops will be better, sir.
Yeah, we'll do physical workshops actually. Well, if possible, we'll try to go to Vadodara. It's in Vadodara, right? Your campus.
Yes.
We'll try to come up there actually as time permits. Currently in Bangalore, we are having a lot of issues. So we'll try to come to Vadodara. I love Gujarat actually.
So everyone can scan the code for the certificates, and like obviously there is an opportunity for internship also. Those who are working already in Android and Flutter, they can directly contact on this email ID.
Prashant, I'll quickly send you the message on WhatsApp. You can just send it to your students and ask them to, spread the word. Okay.
Sure.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much. Prashant sir, you can just give the ending notes to this.
Yeah. So yes, again. So thank you so much for the second session, Rishi sir. And actually, it was a new topic to me also, to all the. And out of this 25 attenders, there are some faculties also from our department.
Okay.
So they also got to know. They are messaging me that this was a very like new topic and a new session. So thank you for this information.
Yeah, absolutely, man. More students need to know about all this.
Yes,
So
exactly.
whenever you need to talk about an absurd topic, ping me up. We'll come and I try to teach the students.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.